So ladies and gentlemen, I want everyone, please put your hands together for our moderator and all the speakers standing here on this stage, please. A huge round of applause. And now we are all set to start with our panel discussion, the topic being market insights and opportunities.
Thank you. I know a lot of people are leaving out, but if you want some energy, let's give a big round of applause to this lady, Madhvi, who's been talking to you since morning. Job well done. Did I pronounce your name right, Madhvi?
Thank you. Pardon me, sir?
I said, did I pronounce your name right?
You did it. Thank
Right.
you so much.
So, somebody had told me earlier, Madhvi. Okay, she can't listen. I think the subject on marketing insights and opportunities in Hyderabad is absolutely great. But I want you to still clap loudly, louder than you've done all day, and that is to wake yourself up first. Queen? Okay, wonderful.
One more name.
So, we're going to start with some macroeconomic outlook. I welcome all the illustrious panelists that we have here, and I will start the session with Mr. Nandakishore from, obviously everybody knows Ramki. So sir, with global economic indicators fluctuating, how resilient is the Hyderabad market compared to its peers like Bangalore or Pune?
Hello. Yeah, first of all, good evening to everyone. Now, when we talk of Hyderabad's resilience, I think the fundamental to real estate is, to put it very simply, the success of real estate can be brought down to saying where people live, where people work, and how they move between these two. Now, if you look at it from that perspective, what are the growth drivers for real estate? It's the job market or the employment scene, it's the demographics, it's the rate of urbanization. I think these are the three main growth drivers. If I were to look at the growth enablers, then it is the policy making, the governance, and of course the socio-political environment. Now I think on both these counts, Hyderabad does wonderfully well. We are seeing the city is growing in terms of the employment generation. We are also seeing the per capita income growing. We are seeing urbanization moving up at a very rapid rate. I think on both these counts, both the growth drivers as well as the growth enablers, Hyderabad is doing fantastic. Now there is a third aspect, which is the value drivers. Now what are these value drivers? These value drivers are essentially how the micro markets are performing, what is the kind of infrastructure that exists, both the transportation infrastructure, the social infrastructure, and also what is the spread and dispersion of employment in the city. Now this is the area where I think there is a concern. Now why? If you look at it from that perspective, the micro markets are hugely disparate. You have a Kokapet where land values are like, as you have seen recently, 150 crores an acre. and you go 10 kilometers away from there, the land value drops to say 25, 30 kilometers per acre, or maybe 40 crores per acre. Now we are witnessing a situation where the price drop is like 10 crores for every 1 kilometer, isn't it? So I think this is something which is a bit alarming, and one of the important aspects for any city to have a positive image in the global market scenario, or if you call even in the national scenario, is the city's real estate market building on strong fundamentals. I think that is something which we need to closely examine, and I think that is an area where we are having concerns. So what I'm trying to say here is that there is a lopsided development which needs to be corrected for this city to be considered a strong real estate market, and which has the stability to, run through in the next few decades as one of the primary real estate market in the country, and to attract investments. Now that is the key here. So that part is one. I think the value drivers is something where too much of disparity within the city, that is something which is concerning, but I am hoping this will get corrected. Now if you see the recent GO that came on conversion of industrial lands, 30% of the lands come from East Hyderabad, and I think those lands will open up more, I would say, better development opportunities there, where we can have large gated communities, better social infrastructure and other things to happen, which I think will correct the situation. As I said, where people live, where people work, and how they move between these two. Now this is lopsided if you see from Hyderabad's perspective. Bulk of the workforce or the IT employment is happening here in western part of the city, and people are converging from all parts of the city to West Hyderabad. That correction needs to happen, and I think, as the Honorable Minister mentioned a while ago, and as the earlier speakers mentioned, Hyderabad is going to be a dominant force in the real estate market, but for us to consolidate our position, we need to correct these few things in our city's growth and development.
Fabulous insight, sir. But in one word, without any bias, Bangalore, Pune or Hyderabad?
On any day, Hyderabad.
Hyderabad. Obviously, you had to say that. Give it a big round, the whole Hyderabad crowd. There is an announcement that is made by the organizers that there is a return gift to be collected from anyone who's leaving. I'm adding to that announcement that everybody who leaves the last gets a bonus with the return gift. So choice is yours. Okay, I'll come to the next question and we'll continue the panel discussion. Nipunji, inflation has driven up construction costs significantly. How are developers innovating to manage these costs without actually passing the entire burden to the home buyer?
So, first of all, thank you for having me here. I would like to thank the office bearers of NADCO, Raj News, and HRA for giving us this opportunity. Hyderabad real estate, for any place in the world to be developed, there are two parameters. One is policies and the second is construction. Hyderabad real estate, there might be changes in government, but there was never a policy lapse in the history of Telangana or Hyderabad. There was always a development, as there was governments with their own policies. And second, construction. If you see the numbers, if we see the numbers and we speak, last year Hyderabad, only in MSB, they have given 1 crore square meters of permission, and this year from Jan to November, they have given 2 crore square meters of permission in the segment. I'm only talking about in MSB segment. apparently after 3 or 4 years, there is 1 lakh crores coming from private sectors coming into Hyderabad, which enforces Hyderabad to be developed at a rapid speed. As you said, the cost of construction and all have been increasing. At the same time, the output as a builder, as a developer, there are many parameters for us. Now GST and all have been part of the construction costs have gone up. Even the buyer the buyer is also very prominent on getting a good area and good square feet and all. So Hyderabad real estate is always has a good growth, and it definitely has, because there are a lot of radial roads coming. There is metro phase 2 coming. Government is also pumping around 32,000 crores for radial roads and 42,000 crores for metro rail. So this all, with all this investment, Hyderabad is definitely going to go up.
Thank you so much, sir. That was fantastic, and we'll come back to it in a future discussion. But I will go on to Mr. K. Sridhar Reddy, our Secretary General at NAREDCO Telangana. Sir, Hyderabad has been a absolute standout performer in the Indian real estate in the last few years. The Hyderabad advantage has always been affordability and infrastructure. So with prices, not voices, I said prices rising. It's only the speakers that said voice rising. So with the prices rising, how do you think we can protect that unique selling proposition Hyderabad had or has for the next 1 decade? Ready, sir.
Good evening, everyone. See, when you talk about affordability and infrastructure, I think you have the best infrastructure in Hyderabad. And affordability point of view, I think nowhere in the world, if the land price is 1 crore 50 lakhs per acre, the selling rate is 12,000 rupees. Wherever you are having this auction, there the selling price is 12,000 rupees per square feet. If the land price would have been the same in Bangalore or Mumbai, the selling rate would have been 20,000 or 25,000, not less than 20,000 rupees. Hyderabad developers, I can say they make very less money compared to any other developer in the country, I can say. The margins for the developer are very less. The competition is very high. One of the major reasons for this is the local competitors, the local developers, whoever are there, they work on a very thin margins. Whereas the corporate companies have large overheads and interest costs and all those things. Whereas the individual developers who are from local they have very minimum overheads. That is the reason, one of the major reasons why Hyderabad is affordable. And when you're talking about the same land price, I mean, as Nandakishore Garu said, if you move away from there to another 10 kilometers, you have a price band around 10 to 15 crores per acre, wherein your selling price is 5 to 6,000 rupees. There, the number of floors might be less. But for an end user, Hyderabad is the best place to invest. And going forward, what we can see, the connectivity of Hyderabad, and I think the other doctors who spoke before our panel, they say Hyderabad is going to be the best city for medical facilities and medical tourism. All over the world, people are looking to come to Hyderabad for their treatments. See, we have new avenues, new infrastructure to be developed, and thanks to the governments, before we thought, when metro was coming to Miapur, no one thought that Miapur will going to be an housing hub. Now the metro is going to beyond Miapur to Patancheru, wherein we have lot of land banks, all these areas will be coming into real estate use, housing, commercial, and office space. Whatever absorption happened in 2025, I think it is more than what we had in 2022, 2023. We have a lot of foreign companies coming up and establishing their centers over here. Earlier, they used to take 25,000 square feet each company. Now they are taking lakhs. Each 100 square feet of office space will generate one employment, and every 10 employment, 1,000 square feet of office space will have one residential unit. That is, you can say, 1,000 to 2,000 square feet of residential space will be observed. Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful and a deep insight, sir. Thank you so much for that. How can I forget my friend, Mr. Sumant Reddy, the chairman of NAR India, the president of HRA currently. But even before I talk to you about the question, you know, I'd heard somebody at the back end saying there is so much knowledge that has come that we need a little fun element, so I'll add to it. On forgetting, I remembered Hyderabad, right? All of you understand Hindi, right? Great. So, other day what happened, I had to tell my wife कि अगर भूलना ही था तो मुझे भूल जाती. Why did you forget that needle on the sofa? So, one should not forget. Okay, it will take you a while to register that one, but on forgetting I'm coming. See, I think real estate is also viewed majorly as an investment instrument. And there is both speculative investment, which creates a speculative investment demand, and a genuine end user consumption for people to live in. So, Suman Garu, how do you see the balance between these two, the speculative investment demand and the genuine end user consumption in the current market cycle of Hyderabad?
Thank you, Samir bhai. So, speculation is part of the overall market cycle. As we all know that whenever there is a boom and the sentiment is strong, the investor is heavily investing in the market to take advantage of the sentiment. But the end user is always constant. I think, see, many a times when we see these research reports and all in the market, right? So they keep talking about demand supply. Okay, they keep talking about slowing down in the market. But see, market is always constant. But the end user keeps on investing irrespective of how the sentiment is, because it is real estate, especially the home is in need. And the guys who invest, who want to just take advantage of the sentiment at the moment, they keep coming into the market when the sentiment is strong. And especially when the sentiment is strong, what happens is that when you have few investors, the demand goes up, and then it creates kind of a FOMO, and then more and more investors keep coming in. Now when it comes to speculators again, when it comes to investors, there are two kinds of investors. One is an investor who is investing for a short term, and one is who is investing for a long term, and there are investors who are just there to flip real estate. Now, as long as the investor is in the game, whether it is short term or long term, as long as he's putting his money and holding on to the asset, I think the market is always good. But the problem starts only when there's an investor who is just here to flip, because he's just absorbing it for a temporary period. Now the demand is created, but the demand cannot sustain for a very long time. That's when actually we see these slowdowns and crashes. So I think people have to be watchful of it. And I feel that Hyderabad, irrespective of how the prices are in the past, I think Hyderabad still has a strong demand from the end user. Maybe there'll be some kind of say, in few pockets, the markets could see a little slowdown, but otherwise, as such Hyderabad market is always driven by the end user.
Wonderful. And we have an absolute young dynamite from Hyderabad, Mr. Aditya with us from the TAR group. Aditya ji, I'll just tell you something about the youngsters before I ask a question. I probably have a son who's nearly your age, I guess. And the other day he told me, Dad, neither will I marry, nor will I allow my children to marry. So, you know, that's like the trend going on. But are we seeing a decoupling of the Hyderabad real estate market from the IT sector's performance? You know, Bangalore and Hyderabad go up and down with the IT sector's performance. Or do you think they are still in the lockstep? So, I think you can add a dimension to it
So
now.
I think a good thing that what the whole world realized during COVID was that you don't need people to be sitting in your office virtually, so they can work virtually from anywhere. So that's why the rise of GCCs has come up. So now it's not only IT services, we have other stuff also that they're sending back to India. So when you, and also in the Hyderabad market, we also have the pharma industry. So it's not only the IT industry that's driving the demand. So I think the decoupling is not happening, and I think slowly Hyderabad has a chance of, as the government pushes manufacturing and other industries, slowly we can easily step away from the IT industry.
I think we should give our panelists a big round of applause for the first round of questions. Of course, the second round is coming now, and we'll be a little faster on it. So, Nipunji, I'll come to you. What measures can be introduced to streamline the permission process for ensuring ease of doing business that translates into ease of delivering the projects?
The ease of doing business for permission, I think the number of days the government should come up with some certain timelines. For example, now Bill Now has come. There are a lot of there's a lot of minute errors. Government has to fix on those errors, and government should come up with specific timelines, like single window where all permissions and all with timeline base. That would really help the builders and the developers and help them move their files at a speed. Thank you.
Superb. Kesar sir, I'll come to you. You know, RERA has brought significant transparency since RERA has been introduced. But what is the next step in the regulatory evolution to further boost especially the NRI and the foreign investor confidence?
Since the inception of RERA in 2017, there are a lot of regulatory things have come up on the developers, protecting the home buyers. I think now it is a time to get the government agencies into that, because developer is doing his part, whereas the other agencies, government agencies, for example, waterworks, for example, electricity board, all other agencies which are involved into this construction industry, they have to make part of it. Because the day the developer is finishing the project, but after completing the project, he obtains the OC, occupancy certificate. From there, to get the services, it's taking long time. I think it's a place where this developer and the customer both are suffering. Now the regulatory body have to address those issues. Because, see, once the developer completes the projects, once he hand it over to the buyer, after the OC, you need to have water and electricity connections in place. Without those things, no one is going to take the position. So now the governments have to focus on government agencies have to be part of RERA. They have to make the part of RERA. Once the OC, any developer gets an OC, power or water, whatever requirements are there, those things have to be fulfilled within 30 days or 60 days. Those should be the mandatory. Otherwise, it's getting suffocated for the developer also.
Thank you so much, sir. We are in any case a country where we like the policing. Until unless there is a cop or there is a camera, we still jump the red light. So I think implementation of the laws will take a little while. But I'll come to Mr. Nandakishore. Sir, the unlimited FSI policy, very, very unique to Hyderabad. It has served very well till now. But does it need tweaking to account for the density challenges that are going to happen, especially in the specific micro markets?
You're actually stirring an honest nest, I must say. But I think it goes without saying that anything which is unlimited is not good, whether it is FSI or whether it is of any product or service. So I think tweaking is definitely necessary, and I think we have had a lot of debates and discussions around this, but the question is how to bell the cat and who will bell the cat, given the fact that, you know, on one side the government is auctioning lands which are being, you know, bought at such astronomical prices. So unless so people are buying those lands with a certain assumption of FSI being available so that the FSI cost comes down. So that's the way, the calculation they are working on. Suddenly if you change the rules of the game, then I think all these people will get into trouble. But there has to be a phased manner in which you have to bring in that change. You can, I think the governments can say that, okay, I think this, we have been discussing on several occasions that there has to be certain zoning with a different FSI availability. So I think that is something which needs to be worked upon, and this has to be implemented. I know it cannot be implemented overnight, but it has to be done over a period of time. But also we have to understand what it is also doing is, with unlimited FSI, the city is getting clogged into a few micro markets. And that's why you see of 150 crore price in one location, and few kilometers away the price is not even 1/10 of it. So I think the spread of the city is getting hampered because of this unlimited FSI. So there is a way we can do. I think there are so many ways of regulating the FSI without really limiting the development of the city, or without really losing the beauty of having certain iconic development locations. Like I'm sure the Kokapet Neopolis belt is going to become the Manhattan of Hyderabad over a period of time. You don't want to lose that. You don't want to, but at the same time you also have to ensure the city spreads, and you also have to have development going across the city, and that can only happen when there is a certain regulation. So I think 10 out of 10 people would say it is needed, but the question is how to bring it, and I am sure there are mechanisms of doing it, but we might see, I'm sure maybe in the next few years it should come over.
If I am personally given from my Namma Bengaluru an opportunity to make a meme movie, I would make one on traffic with limited FSIs and unlimited FSIs, and that still wins, you know, here. But having said that, I'll move on to the next question. Aditya, we're seeing massive interest from alternative investment funds, the AIFs. What are institutional investors, as per you, looking for when partnering with Hyderabad developers today in specific?
So they're mainly looking at developers who have at least delivered over 1 million square feet, and they want to be particularly invested in the ticket size between 1 to 2 CR, where they feel their money will come back quickly. So they're staying away from luxury, that's for sure. They're only investing in the value, and they're also willing to lend at lower interest rates as long as the project locations and the ticket size is low. I think that's good.
Superb. I think that was very specific to the market. Sumant, with rental yields inching up, you know, US has this fundamental very high of investments in real estate in the residential sector to earn a rental income. So is the buy for to let or buy to let becoming a more attractive proposition for the conservative investor?
I think this has been a trend that has been happening for some time, especially with the fractional investments, because a lot of these investors wanted to have some security in terms of returns. So we're looking at that as an option because earlier they could not afford. But still, unless and until somebody is looking for a recurring income, right? So people still would like to invest in real estate which appreciates. So that's something which I've seen, because most of the guys who are investing in even in luxury real estate are actually looking at it as a lifestyle product, because they want to upgrade their lifestyle. They want to move into much more sophisticated areas. And today, if you really see, when it comes to today, if you really see, though the rental values are high, but the asset value is also going up along with it. The rental values are inching up, but the asset values are also going up. So, which also makes it a little complex. But definitely yes, to an extent, because some people or some investors are looking at it as an option, because they are now looking at far wider portfolios. Because earlier there were 1 or 2 investments, 1 or 2 investments people used to make. Now there are investors who have multiple portfolios.
Magnificent. I think the greatest part of a panel discussion is in an hour you can consume so much of knowledge from these stalwarts of the industry. We still have 20 minutes to do it. So Sridhar sir, I'll come on one more question to you. Can the aerospace and pharma city corridors create self-sustaining residential ecosystems like the IT parks did, or will they remain industrial hubs?
I think government is looking to develop, it's a 360 degrees. They don't want just a pharma city or just an industrial corridor. They want all kinds of infrastructure, social infrastructure, sports infrastructure, everything in place. The government is working towards that. And most of the people might be thinking from outside that how can this address about the water issue or electricity kind of thing. Telangana government, luckily, earlier government and this government also, thinking way ahead of our requirements. Even for our pharma city and fourth city, we have a Shivanaguda reservoir which is going to have around 30 TMC. That means whatever we had earlier putting together our water requirement reservoirs, whatever we have for Hyderabad, only Shivanaguda reservoir will be around 30 TMC. So government is thinking way ahead of all those things. And definitely it might take 5 to 6 years to get the social infrastructure in place. But government realized only industrial development will not get the, a person working there, if he has to travel to the city, he takes around 1.5 hours to come to the city and go back. Half of his energy is wasted in this transportation. So government want the transportation to be reduced, and in that case the travel time will be reduced. Government wants all social infrastructure in place, schools. I think already we have 4 or 5 international schools in those areas. Transportation system, power, surplus power. They are also looking at sports infrastructure, so that they don't have to come to this part of the city. People living in fourth city doesn't have to travel to Hyderabad, Secunderabad or Cyberabad. They will have all kind of infrastructure there itself. When they start now, it takes time. For building everything, it takes time. High-Tech City was first foundation laid in 1998. Now we see where we are. In 2006, the ORR foundation has been laid. Now the complete ORR, when ORR was laying down, everyone thought who will come in this area. Now we have all high-rise towers around ORR. So same thing with RRR. Government wants all industries to be moved out of ORR. I mean, inside the ORR, they want these industries to go out of ORR between RRR and ORR. These are the good moves.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we have a little paucity of time, so I'll request one question to each participant, but quick 1 minute replies at best. Nandakishore sir, I wish we had more time. You know, the other day, wishes don't stop with all of us. Am I right? Everybody has wishes. The other day, I saw a shooting star falling. You know, I was told that if you close your eyes and wish, when a shooting star is falling, the wish comes true. So I immediately closed my eyes and I wished, give me the power to understand my wife. I opened my eyes, the shooting star went back and rejoined from where it had broken, you know. So we can't be going on with the wishes, but Nandakishore sir, connectivity to the airport in Hyderabad has been a major game changer. So how will the proposed metro expansion further unlock the value in the southern and the eastern corridors?
I think one of the best examples of connectivity and real estate development is the Uppal belt. If you see the prices of real estate in Uppal just doubled within a very short span of time once the metro connectivity happened. And I think it is going to be the same thing, connectivity to the airport and metro from all regions coming to the airport. I think that is where it is going to have its impact, because it's not just the micro location what we are talking of. We are talking of the entire surroundings. But still, issues still remain with respect to the last mile connectivity, which I think is a challenge which we are going to face and we are continuing to face. I think unless that is resolved, we will not realize the full potential of the impact of metro on real estate. But the connectivity to the airport, I think from all now sides, you see Hyderabad airport is well connected, but I'm sure sooner or later you are going to get a demand for another airport on the northern side of the city, because it's getting tough as we see today.
Superb, sir. Nipun sir, very quickly, as we densify West Hyderabad, what are the immediate traffic management solutions the industry should propose to the government?
So, West Hyderabad is definitely the heart of Hyderabad. Once Neopolis and all if these projects get completed, there will be a lot of traffic. Government should plan metro. Since metro is expensive, government should also plan trail along the road, which other developed countries like US, New York, Tokyo and all have trail transport in their parts. So I think that will reduce the cost of construction and even provide connectivity, road transport will increase. This might help for the west of the Hyderabad.
Superb. One more round of applause, and it's not finished, so we'll do a quick rapid fire, which will have a little bit of fun. So, starting again with you, Nandakishore ji, in one sentence, what is the biggest opportunity Hyderabad real estate in 2026?
I would say become the destination for senior citizen housing.
Fantastic. And my question to you on rapid fire, if you were not a developer, builder or in real estate, what would you be? Give the mic. Go ahead, sir, tell me, it's to you.
To me?
Yeah.
If I were not a real estate developer?
If you were not a developer, builder or in real estate, what would you have wanted to be?
Hollywood hero.
No, I would love to be a farmer sitting in some village enjoying the beauties of nature.
Oh, wow, fantastic. KSR sir, conversely, what is the single biggest risk we need to mitigate in Hyderabad? One line. Single biggest risk.
Cities which protect its ecology will last long and it will have good living experiences. Likewise, our governments also realize those things. They are protecting our lakes. This is going to be a game changer because in 1995 we had 2,300 lakes. Now they have dried down to mere 600. So government of Telangana has taken up this initiative to protect the lakes. Once these lakes will be protected, we have longer, bigger lung spaces, good environment. People living in and around will have walking spaces and entertainment also will be there. And one more important thing is, government of Telangana has taken up the Musi, regeneration of Musi. That's going to be the game changer for Hyderabad because it's a long corridor of 56 kilometers. You have both sides, you will have entertainment, hospitality, restaurants, hotels, everything will be there. And you have a straight road also, they are proposing a straight road. So just imagine a 56 kilometers road straight without any obstruction. That's our dream.
Superb. Our Honorable Minister Uttamji just went, but do you think Mr. Sridhar Reddy qualifies to be a politician in future? That was a one-line reply by him. I'm just kidding, sir. Please, Aditya, next question is coming to you. Rate the current market sentiment on a scale of 1 to 10.
Rate the market sentiment.
Rate the current market sentiment.
I think after the auction it's 10.
10. Perfect 10 for Hyderabad. Give it a big round. Are you married?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have 2 kids.
Given a choice to marry a Bollywood actress or date a Bollywood actress, who would you date?
It's an imaginary question.
Pardon?
It's an imaginary question.
Absolutely.
No, I think I'll stick to my wife for this.
You stick to your wife.
safe
He's smart.
answer.
It's being recorded and his wife will watch it. So that's great, Aditya. Okay, Nipunji, coming to you. Residential versus commercial versus warehousing. Which sector will have the highest growth percentage in Hyderabad this year as per you?
I think it's commercial.
Commercial. Fantastic, sir. And I will ask you the same question. Which city in India do you think is going to be the highest growth in real estate in the next 5 years?
That's obviously Hyderabad.
Again, Hyderabad. Give it a big round, please. And we'll ask the last question to Sumant. To all the home buyers sitting here or potential home buyers watching, why is now the right time to invest in real estate in Hyderabad?
Because the prices have been stable for some time. And after looking at the recent auction, I feel that the price could go up. I think this is an ideal moment for anybody who is an end user to invest in Hyderabad.
Superb. And with this, we come to an end of our panel. Give our panelists a huge round of applause, please. I know many of you went out and had tea, so can I hear you louder, please? Great. And I will hand it over. Do we have time for questions? No, we are done, right? So you could meet the panelists outside and ask any questions you have. Over to you, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen, my sincere and heartfelt gratitude goes to our brilliant panelists. Sir, your expertise truly illuminated the path forward in this dynamic market. Your deep dive into the various topics provides us with a fantastic blueprint for the strategic investment. We greatly appreciate your candid perspective on the various topics. It's a crucial reminder for where the future lies. Your analysis on the new ideas goes to all our delegates who are sitting here today. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a huge round of applause for our distinguished and eminent panelists. A huge round of applause, all the ones who are present here. And finally, the seamless flow and depth of this conversation would not have been possible without the skill and acumen of our esteemed moderator. A massive thank you, Rosso. It was wonderful. Your adept steering of the discussion, your insightful questions, and your ability to bring together so many diverse viewpoints have been exemplary. You not only managed the panel, but truly elevated the dialogue. I want everyone sitting here, please join your hands together for our moderator and panelists sitting here on the dais. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure having you all here. And we're looking forward for many such panel discussions in future. Thank you so much.
I want to thank Lakshmi Garu. It's a great thing, Andy, because we are part of industry. We understand. We do it for our business. But without any of those things, for the state, development of state, for the future of the state, this is the second event we are doing in this year. We have done in January and now. Thank you very much, Andy. And Sumant, thank you. Your registrations, HRA, always, we don't have to say. And thank you, NAREDCO members. Really, it's a great evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen,